What is up, YouTube? N64 Fun Time coming back at you today with another amazing video. What do we got today? I'm kind of excited for this video because we're playing what I consider a hidden gem for the Nintendo 64. The Nintendo 64 really didn't have that many games. In North America, it was just over like 250 games or so released. So finding a hidden gem for the Nintendo 64 I think is a little bit harder nowadays, but I believe this is one. So what are we playing? We're playing Fighting Force 64. Now this game was released for the PlayStation. It's not a N64 exclusive, but the N64 version is the superior version graphically and I think playability over the PlayStation. So Fighting Force is basically a 3D style beat 'em up game. It's not on a 2D plane, so it's kind of odd to have this kind of beat 'em up game on a 3D plane, but it models very similar to the Die Hard arcade game. If you remember that game a long time ago, the Die Hard arcade game was one of the first three-dimensional beat 'em up style games that I can think of. But a little bit of the backstory of Fighting Force is it actually was supposed to be not a Die Hard arcade ripoff, but a Streets of Rage game. It was actually supposed to be Streets of Rage 4. There was a little bit of falling out with the developers and Sega, so it didn't become a Streets of Rage game. It became Fighting Force. And then what happened, it didn't get released for Sega platforms. It got released for the PlayStation and the Nintendo 64. So Sega didn't even see this game because of a little bit of falling out. They didn't get Streets of Rage 4. Later on, there was a Fighting Force 2 game that came out for the Dreamcast, so they patched it up a little bit, and Fighting Force did get released for a Sega platform, but it wasn't nearly as good as the first one. Now, like I said, beat 'em ups for the Nintendo 64 were pretty rare. I feel like with 3D environments, this style of gameplay, beat 'em ups were really good on the 2D plane. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the SNES was one of my favorite games of all time. So to have these awesome beat 'em up games for the SNES Sega era, and then all of a sudden we're in a 3D plane, they didn't work as well, so I don't feel like people played them a lot. But this game is so good. It controls really well in a three-dimensional environment. Now with the Nintendo 64 and a three-dimensional game, I've said this 100 times before, this game does have a little bit of issue with the camera angles. But if you have played any of the Resident Evil games or anything like that, your character kind of controls a little bit tanky, and the camera angles are fixed, meaning when you switch scenes, the camera angle will be fixed. So if you've played a little bit of the Resident Evil games and you don't mind that gameplay so much, the camera I don't think will bother you at all. So what makes this game special from all the other beat 'em ups? Well, first of all, it's a great beat 'em up for the Nintendo 64. Other than Gauntlet Legends, I can't think of another one that is to this caliber on the Nintendo 64. It is 2-player, so you can play with 2 players, co-op no more than 2, and there are a handful of characters to choose from. You have 4 characters. You have kind of your normal big brutish character that does a lot of damage but is really slow. And then you have your mid-range characters. I prefer to play as the smaller female character. She's pretty quick. She has a lot of really cool special moves, but she doesn't do as much damage. But each character plays different enough to where you actually want to come back and play with the different characters. Now, what's really cool about this beat 'em up game is just like some of the other really great ones in the past, you actually have the ability to interact with your environment. You can destroy cars. Sometimes there's stuff in the cars, such as weapons, bazookas. You can use poles and bats and, you know, destroy boxes for health in this environment. Walls are destroyable. So it's really cool that you actually can interact with your environment on top of you know, fighting the people on the screen. The AI is okay. I wouldn't say this is a difficult beat 'em up, but it is really, really fun. It's short enough to where you can kind of beat it in one sitting if you really want to, but there is a save feature on it. And like I said, it's just a lot of fun. You can spam kind of your jumping attack and breeze through the game a little bit, but what fighting game didn't really have kind of a jumping spam attack, you know, or like a strong attack that you could kind of breeze through the game with. So I can't fault it for that. But what's really cool is one of my favorite stages in the game, you're actually riding up on an elevator. There's always an elevator stage on a beat 'em up game. I mean, look back to it and tell me if I'm wrong, if there wasn't a good beat 'em up that didn't have an elevator stage. I can't think of one. But anyway, my favorite kind of scenario in this game is you're on an elevator, you're going up. There's axes that you can use and fire hydrants that you can throw, and people are jumping down and coming through the door as you're going up each floor. But one of the coolest things, like I said, you can interact with the environment in this game. You can actually break off the handrails in the elevator and start beating people with it. So that's how far this game goes as far as interacting with the environment, and it's really, really, really fun. Honestly, I don't have too much more to say about this game other than this is just an unbelievable beat 'em up game, three-dimensional beat 'em up game that's fun to play by yourself, or with two players it becomes even more fun. So have you played Fighting Force 64? Have you even heard of this game? If you haven't, I super encourage you to go back and play it. Bring a friend along and play it two-player. It is so awesome. In a system that just didn't have very many beat 'em up games, this is just awesome. I really believe that this is a hidden gem. I think that you will like it. So there you go. I had a lot of fun playing it. I'm probably, I might do a live stream on this game or something like that. Because like I said, I think that more people need to see this game and play this game. So yeah, there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you go back and play this game. It really is worth it. It's fairly cheap right now. I think you can get it online for about $6 or $7. So why not have this for your Nintendo 64 collection? So there you go. Please feel free to like and subscribe down below. It is always appreciated. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I have plenty of fun stuff I do on there as well. Until next time, N64 Fun Time. Be nice, stay positive. Always be gaming.